welcome to Live in the Hive. I'm Michelle Eagleton and you're watching the only online magazine show dedicated to theatre across Greater Manchester. Yes, I'm here in my garden bar, the Hive, to bring you the latest theatre news and interviews from people who are winging their way to our fair city in some fabulous productions. A big hello tonight if you're joining us on the I Love Manchester Facebook page. That's the iconic brand dedicated to community and culture. And hello there if you're joining us on our very own Live in the Hive Facebook page. If you love theatre, you are in the right place. And if you've just spotted us, then go on, tweet somebody else or message them and say, come on, start watching this programme. I tell you what, we've got some great guests on the show tonight. I could say they're cracking, excuse the pun, because joining me is the wonderful Anna Jane Casey. Now, she's going to be telling me about starring in Mother Goose. This is a pantomime extraordinaire. It got rave reviews in the West End at Christmas time. And we don't need a panto just at Christmas, do we? No, let's bring it to the Lowry for Easter, and that is just what they're doing with Sir Ian McKellen and John Bishop as well. What a top cast that is. So Anna Jane is going to be giving me all the gossip and the lowdown on that very soon. I'm also joined by the wonderful Dave Hearn. Now, you might have seen Dave before. He's one of the founders of Mischief Theatre Company. They do The Play That Goes Wrong, all of those series of wonderful shows that just make you chuckle really hard. Now, he's currently starring in a tour of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, but not as you might know The Time Machine. It is chaotic, it is clever, and very funny. We're going to hear from Dave a little bit later on in the show. And of course, every week, what do we bring you? Well, we do bring you the latest Greater Manchester theatre news. And we've got a couple of announcements for you this week and a sneak peek at a brand new show which is premiering here in Manchester. It's very exciting. I love it when Manchester gets it first, and this is an absolutely brilliant production. We're going to tell you all about it later, so do stay tuned. More to come on Live in the Hive. But let's start tonight off with a wonderful northern lass. She is a fantastic performer. She's been in so many productions in the West End and on tour, things like Chicago, West Side Story, Calendar Girls, and now she is playing one of the most challenging roles of her life. This is Anna Jane Casey. I spoke to her earlier this week, and here's what she spilled.
Well, do you know what? It's a random job. My children are like, what do you do, Mummy? I said, I poo golden eggs for Gandalf. It's so random, but it's brilliant. And you know, I wasn't meant to be doing this. I mean, you must know the story of this.
This Mel Gidroy. Yeah.
It was the beautiful Mel Gidroy who, God bless her, had some personal dramas. And 2 weeks before the rehearsals were starting, she had to pull out. So I was like, what? I was planning 6 months off, sitting in my house, sorting stuff. No, get back to work. So it's brilliant, but it is mental and it's madness. And I am wearing a beautifully designed costume by a wonderful woman called Liz Ashcroft, and the maker is Bryony Rumble. I want these names known because they're amazing women. And it's like 10 kilograms of goose arse. So it's like carrying a child on your back constantly. But it's brilliant.
That's a workout and a half, but I do believe you run marathons in your spare time. So you take it in your stride, don't you?
Well, you say that, but I'm 107 now, so I might actually drop dead pretty soon from all this stress physically. But we battle through.
You know, not only have you got great people who do the costumes, I mean, the cast itself, you are sandwiched between two wonderful men, John Bishop and Sir Ian McKellen. Yeah. What is it like working with them? I imagine it's a bit of a blast, right?
It is. It's hilarious, and this is no secret because I've told him myself. For the first couple of weeks of rehearsals, I was like, not sure about John Bishop. Not sure. He's really weird. Keeps himself really to himself. It's really straight. But you know, the famous thing is comedians aren't funny people. They're quite quiet people. No. John's amazing and brilliant, but he was just terrified. God bless him. He said, I only ever work by myself. I turn up, it's just me. Suddenly there's like 15 really camp theatrical people, everyone hugging each other, everyone like, darling. He was terrified for the first 3 weeks. I think he literally was pooing his pants thinking, what have I got myself in for? Well, now, from a man who was slightly afraid to give anyone a hug, he's mincing about backstage, arms in the air, hello babes, like he has fully joined the joy of musical theatre. So that's one thing. He's also quite attractive. I mean, we're not going to lie. He's very pretty. He's very easy on the eye. He gets his top off next to me quite a lot, which I'm like, oh, John, I'm a woman of certain age, calm yourself. And then Ian, who hates everyone saying it, but I'm going to say it, he's 83. He's 83 and he has more energy.
Wow.
And he hates him. He's like, don't tell everyone I'm 83. I'm like, you should be celebrating this. Most people at 83 are like gibbering and being fed their dinner, liquidized roast dinners. This man is on his feet 8 shows a week, tap dancing, wearing heels. He has about 9 costume changes. He's never off. He never moans. And he is unbelievable. And every night when I take his hand, because he holds my hand a lot on stage, because I'm meant to be his best friend as Scylla Quack the goose, he holds my hand and I can't help but think, I'm holding Magneto's hand. It's Magneto. Like, I lose my mind every time I've got my hand in his. He's just wonderful.
It's madness. I never thought Sir Ian McKellen would have done a panto, but this is a panto that's really up there. I mean, the reviews have just been incredible. It doesn't feel like that normal panto. It's got this kind of kudos about it, and it's going on tour past Christmas time, which is usually unheard of.
I know, but the thing is, you see, I'm very, very old, and I can remember as a kid, I can distinctly remember going to see a pantomime in Manchester, maybe Palace Theatre or the Opera House, one or the other, where it was March. It was like that March time just before you broke up for Easter, and it was either Des O'Connor or it might have even been Danny LaRue. So pantos used to go on up until about mid-80s. Pantos went on up to Easter. And it was a well-known fact, which is why Ian said, I want to get back to that old tradition. So the panto would play in London for a month, probably the London Palladium. And then the big stars would say, well, then we're going to take it to the different cities around the country. So that's what we're bringing back. We're bringing back panto big style.
And I love the fact that you are, because it feels like a proper tree. And the person who's behind the writing of it is Jonathan Harvey from Coronation Street, Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. And one of my favourite plays, Beautiful Thing.
He is hilarious. He's a very, very funny man, and he's done something which is brilliant, where of course it's a pantomime, so it has all your classics. It's behind you, and oh no, he didn't, but it's not in any way festive. Father Christmas doesn't come on. We don't have snow fairies. Nobody gets a present at the end. It's just a fantastic story about a woman, Mother Goose, Caroline Goose, who has everything. She has no money, but she has everything. She has love, she has warmth, she's caring. Everybody loves her, but then she's tempted, isn't she? Ooh, as we all are. She gets dangled the carrot of fame and fortune, and she says, oh, I'm going to go and do that. And what happens to her, you will see. You have to come and see to find out.
I definitely will do. How do you not corpse, though? Because I always think of that in pantomimes. I'm like, I'd just go straight away. I couldn't do it.
Well, I stand in the wings and I watch what we all call the cooking scene. Of course, there's a classic cooking scene. And it's John Bishop, Ian McKellen, and a wonderful actor called Oscar Conlon Morley, who is one of the funniest people you will ever meet in your whole life. He plays their son, Jack. And I stand in the wings and watch that because I come on halfway through it. And I am wetting myself every night because they're so brilliant. Ian McKellen's face is like a proper old school, like he's like Les Dawson on acid. So he's given 400 faces. John is just hilarious, and Oscar is throwing eggs around, covering himself in flour, like it's bonkers. And every night they do something slightly different for me, I think, because they see me in the wings, they're like, oh, there's Gobby in the wings, she'll laugh. So it is brilliant, but you have to really hold it together on stage. But that's the great thing about panto is you can, if something does go wrong, we'll go, did you really say that? Are we going to get back to the script? And the audience love it. And that's a great thing to watch and enjoy.
People do. You kind of feel like you're involved when you see something like that happen.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your Gobby. I think that's because you're from Manchester, aren't you, love?
Absolutely. Hope Hospital, born and bred.
Yeah, I love it. So you're coming back to your stomping ground, although I just said to you earlier on before we started the interview, the last time I spoke to you, you were coming to the Lowry anyway in 2018.
Indeed.
For Girls. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the last time, because obviously there was kind of this little thing. There was like about 18 months, 2 years, called the pandemic, where there was no live theatre, where we weren't allowed, where somebody who was on a higher pay grade than me decided that people sitting in a theatre wasn't allowed, but you could go on an aeroplane. Don't get me started. So yeah, we've had a good couple of years off. So to come back to, not only to come back to doing a brilliant show with some amazing people, but to come back to Salford I'm thrilled. Like, I've been telling everyone, we'll be down Canal Street, we'll be out in the down the Arndale. Like, we're all going to be there.
Oh, and Media City is changing all the time. Got some new shops, new outlets, and everything. You need to definitely check it out.
Thrilled.
Song sheet. Is there going to be a song sheet? Because you know, a performer like you, I've got to see you singing. Come on, please say some vocals from you.
Well, poor Jonathan Harvey, our wonderful writer, who'd written a hilarious script that was when Mel Giedroydt was doing the show, all about soggy bottoms and bake-offs. And then 2 weeks to go, he rang me and he was like, can I swear? I'm going to swear slightly. He was like, you bloody sod. He said, I've got to rewrite the whole thing now. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Because obviously none of those references make any bones about what I've done. So he was like, he Googled me because he kind of knows me, but he doesn't really. So he Googled me and he'd seen me singing Don't Rain on My Parade at the proms in a big ball gown. And he was like, hang on a minute. I can get Cilla Quack in Act 2 when I can't tell you what the situation is. You have to come and see it. But she's been beaten down. Everyone said she's worth nothing. And she comes back and sings, don't tell me not to live, just sit and pat it. And I get to sing Don't Rain on My Parade with 10 kilograms of goose arse and a pair of orange Crocs. So that's one thing that's hilarious.
I was going to say, you know, what has been your highlight on stage up to now? But I think that might be it.
It's one of the close ones. It really is. Also, delivering an egg every night to Magneto is heavenly. Yeah, Magneto in a frock.
I can imagine, but I also imagine one of the most defining moments and best moments was playing Anita in West Side Story and meeting your husband, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and we're 25 years married this year.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Absolutely.
You don't get that for murder.
And haven't I heard as well, because obviously you've done the Kit Cab Club as well, Cabaret. I've still not been down there. I really want to go.
You've got to go, Michelle. It's amazing. It's the most amazing thing.
It's quite immersive, isn't it? It's not just a show.
They don't want to call it immersive, but it's immersive. Like, you go in, you don't go into the normal front of a theatre. It's not like the nice doors open and somebody saying, tickets, please. No, it's none of that. You go down a deep, dark pathway. You go down corridors where there's people like poking out. You have a little schnapps to get you going. So there's a whole event. You know, when Cabaret first opened, and understandably, it was right after the pandemic, and the tickets were very expensive. And people were like, I'm not paying for that. You got 4 hours of entertainment and an Oscar winner standing 4 inches from your face. If you want to pay 300 quid, it's the best night you'll ever have. And I still say the best show in London at the moment is Cabaret. They've got a remarkable cast, a remarkable setup. You're right in there. You know, I used to crawl around the audience and steal everyone's drinks. I'm not even a drinker, but you must go and see it.
You can't do that at the Lowry. You can't steal anyone's drinks, I'm afraid.
You watch me. You'll have to hold me back. I'm going in.
Did I hear that you had famous people come to your dressing room door when it was Cabaret? Come on, spill.
There were some amazing ones, and I can't say the swear words that I actually used, but my favourite one, really quick story, we're doing the warm-up on stage, and there's these men walking around, you know, with like earpieces and dark jackets, and we said to our company manager, who are they, these two fellas? She was like, I actually don't know. Somebody's coming, but we don't know who. So the show was held. We didn't go up on time. 7:30 is meant to start. It was like 7:40 because the special guest hadn't arrived. Suddenly they're like, right, the guest is in, we can go. And we're like, what is this? Comes to the interval. I lean out my dressing room. I've got stuck in my dress and I'm swearing like a sailor. Get me out of this. Just as Kate Middleton and Prince William walk past with their security guards. And she says, she's literally as close to me as this. She said, oh, I'm loving the show. As I'd said all the swear words in the world, just as she was there. So we have had everybody. We also had another one on New Year's Eve. I'm singing my little bit and I'm sitting about 2 meters away. Actually, no, closer, 2 feet. 2 feet away from John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, which was quite amazing. Yeah, we had everybody at that show.
Right, what we're going to have to do then is we're going to have to pull our best people out of the bag to come and see Mother Goose. Yeah. I'll get William Roach down, Ken Barlow.
Beautiful. Well, apparently a lot of the Corrie friends are coming. Anthony Cotton's a very good friend of mine and he's promised he's coming. So Anthony, get all the Corrie lot down, please. Thank you.
We certainly do. Honestly, I cannot wait. I am so glad that you come in to the Lowry because I didn't get to see it in London. This is an absolute cracking production. See what I did there? Cracking.
Yeah, like cracking. Very good. Yeah.
Well, we'll see you very soon. Manchester and Salford is waiting to have you home.
Oh, we can't wait to be there. Can't wait.
Oh, that sounds like a great pantomime, and what a cast. Sir Ian McKellen, John Bishop, and the lovely Anna Jane Casey. I can't wait for that to come to the Lowry. It's going to be absolutely hilarious. Now, still to come on the show, I've got another very funny guy. He's called Dave Hearn. You might have seen him on your telly boxes at Christmas time in one of the plays that goes wrong, or Peter Pan. It is Mischief Theatre's finest, Dave Hearn, and he's currently starring in The Time Machine, and that is winging its way to the Octagon in Bolton very soon. So we're going to find out about that show with him in a few moments' time. But of course, now it's time for this. Yes, Greater Manchester Theatre News. And what have we got for you this week? Well, tinged with sadness, it was announced that the final show on Oldham Coliseum will be Encore. It's going to take place on the 31st of March, and this is going to be a farewell show. Really a celebration of what the Coliseum has had on its stage over the past century. So excerpts from some of the famous pantomimes, productions, and maybe even a few of the famous faces who started their careers at the Coliseum. I've bagged myself a pair of tickets for this one. I think I'm going to have to take my tissues, because as much as it will be a celebration, I think it will also be very sad as well. Now, something to try and cheer us up is a brand new musical that is heading its way. Take a look at this. Oh, I love a bit of Stock Aitken and Waterman. I do. That sounds right up my street. It's called I Should Be So Lucky. It is a world premiere that we're having here in Manchester at the Opera House on the 1st of November. The wedding is off. The honeymoon is on. Sounds very exciting. Now, the show is written by Dawn O'Porter, who I think is hilarious. And of course, it's got those classic Stock Aitken and Waterman songs. So you can have a bit of Jason, you'll have a bit of Kylie, you'll have a bit of Rick Astley, and a bit of Sonia. I am there already. Now, when we hear any more about this, I will bring you the latest. You'll hear it right here live on the Hive. So watch this space. Now, I got the chance to catch up with somebody earlier this week who really did make me giggle a lot. Firstly, because I recognised him from the Mischief Theatre Company. He's a guy who's been in that theatre company for almost 15 years and making us laugh, but now he's stepped outside of the gang to star in the latest production of The Time Machine. Now, this is a H.G. Wells novel, but maybe this production isn't quite how you imagine it to be. It's winging its way to the Octagon, and this is what Dave had to say about it.
It's definitely not a traditional retelling of a classic novel. I think we've had a few people come in who are real fans of the book, who have ended up saying, I don't know why, I feel like I should hate it, but I absolutely loved it. I had the best time.
Well, it's nice to have a different spin on it. The reviews have said it's chaotic and clever. So would you agree?
Yeah, I think definitely in the in Act 2, certainly it's very much a play of two halves, and I think in Act 2 it definitely becomes a little more wild and chaotic, which is really fun.
Now, if no one's read the classic H.G. Wells novel, I know we've just said it's a little bit different from that, but what is the premise that you're going to see apart from the chaos, Dave?
So it's you're following three actors who are trying to perform a kind of dramatization of The Time Machine. And it starts out as you see them kind of performing the opening scene, and then you kind of learn that they're a theatre company, and they were originally meant to be performing The Importance of Being Earnest, until my character, who is H.G. Wells' great-great-grandson. I think about that for a second. H.G. Wells' great-great-grandson, he basically discovers that the Time Machine, or at least he believes the Time Machine, is not a work of fiction. It's a factual retelling of what actually happened to H.G. Wells.
Oh, brilliant.
and he convinces the rest of the actors that they will no longer be doing The Importance of Being Earnest. They're going to do a dramatization of this kind of discovery.
Great. And I love the fact as well, there's just 3 of you on stage, which, you know, there must be a lot of camaraderie that goes on, you know, on stage and off stage on tour, because you're currently on tour with it.
Yeah, I think we definitely had, it's been an interesting process for me because I've sort of worked with the same people for the last sort of 15 years. And so stepping into a room with new people is really exciting. I think after the first preview was so chaotic and I absolutely loved it, but we were totally under rehearsed, totally under tech. We absolutely should not have gone on and done that show. And
I bet that was your best performance, though.
I loved it. I had a great time. It was the Wild West out there, and we jumped 10 pages forward, 10 pages back, but every time, like, I couldn't quite believe we got to the end of it and had a show without stopping. And I think Amy and Michael, who are the other 2 actors, each of us at some point kind of picked up the ball again and carried on going. So I think we developed a lot of trust after that experience.
But you're used to that. You're used to the chaos, and you're used to, you know, the madness of things. I mean, as you said, for, was it 15 years now that you co-founded Mischief Theatre, which, I mean, phenomenal. Like, you're on Broadway at the moment with one of your productions. It doesn't get better than that, Dave.
No, and it's really exciting. I think the company's kind of gone from strength to strength, and the I guess the difference with this and the Mischief stuff is that the Mischief stuff is very much it's a sort of military exercise in comedic precision. It's chaos, but it's tightly controlled. As where this is, it attempts to be that, and then it is genuinely quite wild, which I really, really find very exciting.
Does that mean that you're closer to corpsing when you're touring with the Time Machine than you were with Mischief because of the lack of control? Because it's like, oh, yeah, you know, when it's the unexpected, it's a bit like, oh my God, because I don't know how you do it. Yes, of course, you're actors, that's what you do, but still, there must be those moments where you've got that clenched fist going, please don't let me laugh, please don't let me laugh.
I think sometimes, I mean, for me, my general rule is I just sort of wait for a pause and then assume it's me and just start shouting. But I think the most challenging thing is there's a lot of audience interaction in the second half, and you just don't know what you're going to get. So sometimes you get someone who just doesn't want to be involved and will give you the bare minimum. And then you'll get someone, the most challenging thing is when you're up against someone who is genuinely really very funny, or like a 14-year-old kid will just set me up. They're so quick and they're so clever. And I think we got told off yesterday by our company manager, who very gently, very kindly, very respectfully was just like, please do just watch laughing on stage. Because, you know, obviously I know the show and I don't think anyone would notice, but maybe just don't let it run away with you. Because I think we just got a bit giddy at the top of the show, and it happens sometimes. And you have to get control.
But you know what? I think the audience love that. I really, really do. And like you said, with the interaction, I think, you know, it must be a different show for you every night, or at least keep it alive.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's the second act particularly is totally audience dependent, and I think if we have a wild crowd, we have a wild show. If we have a calmer crowd, we have a calmer show. And I think we can kind of control it within the structure that we have. But there are a few points where we do just give up essentially the stage to an audience member or more than one.
I love it.
In their hands. So that's a lot of fun.
I can't wait. I mean, the audiences in Bolton, they are going to be wild. I just want to warn you, Dave, us Northerners, we're up for it.
I look forward to it immensely. I find the further north I go, the more the kinder yet more intense people get. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Now I've been looking at your social media, not in a stalker way, in a research way, of course. And I saw a picture of you and your other cast members with a cardboard cutout of Brian Cox. Mm-hmm. Does that feature in the show, or was that for one night only and somebody brought that with them?
No, Brian Cox is featured in the show. The cardboard cutout of Brian Cox, which Michael keeps calling David Cox, which is very odd. I don't know why. I don't know where he's got that name from, but he keeps tripping up on it. But yeah, there's a joke that we're trying to get Brian Cox in to confirm the science behind what we're trying to explain, and the joke is we just can't get him. But I'm really pushing to see if we can. I really want to get him actually in the show for one day and see if he can.
That would be amazing. I reckon he'd be really up for that. He looks like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a busy guy, but he's got to have time for a little gag, a little comedy sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I think what we do is we now put a shout out that Brian Cox, get yourself down to the time machine at Bolton, Octagon, and make an appearance. That would be brilliant.
It would be amazing. And where's Brian Cox from? He's
up north. I think he's originally from Oldham.
It's pretty close. I'll take it. Let's get him in there.
Bus ride.
Yeah, come on. I'll tell you what. I'll go. I'll pay for an Addy Lee for him. Get him an Uber.
That's brilliant. You're flashing the cash there. Also, there was a warning that there are share tunes in this show. Can you divulge which share tunes, or is that top secret?
I think I'd rather you experience them live. I think I would.
I'm actually having an epiphany, thinking it could be the one where she does the.
Yeah, there's one big share number for a time traveling sequence
where she may have worn a kind of catsuit and some fishnet tights and had a sailor's hat on in the video. I'm showing my age now.
No, that one we did watch that for research because I'd heard the song, but I'd never seen that video, and I was blown away by it because it's a very good metaphor for this show because you're watching it and you're going, it is amazing, but also what is this? And I think I had a very similar experience watching that share video.
One scene, never ever forgotten.
No,
oh gosh. Amazing. Well, we'll look forward to that. I'm also hoping that while you're in Bolton, you might be doing a bit of parkour, Dave.
Yeah, I might be jumping off some stuff. Who knows? I might be in bed, but also if there's some lovely rails, I can't resist.
There's some good buildings in Bolton. Yeah.
Get up there, do a bit of roof running. Why not?
Absolutely. I am intrigued about what a thrill seeker you are. You're a bit of an adrenaline junkie, I think, on the side, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I've probably calmed down a little bit in my old age. Now that I'm becoming more wise, but no, definitely, I still do a lot of kind of like combat stuff and trying to do like acrobatics training and tumbling and stuff like that. But many years of fast are starting to take its toll on my body, so I do
behave. I'm going to say you're probably one of the only actors then that has on their CV something like parkour, fencing, and combat that can actually do it and aren't lying.
Yeah, there's some things like it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know, but when you start to learn a little bit of it, I've had a few auditions through where they're like, we need an acrobat, and I'm like, that I'm not. But if you need me to jump over a couple of benches, I'm your guy.
Or do some fire breathing, maybe. Yeah,
swallow a bit of fire. Why not?
Now, currently you're on tour with this. Are we going to see you back with the Mischief Theatre Company?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we're doing a lot of work, kind of particularly post-pandemic, and trying to get our portfolio back up and trying to find more stuff that we can get out there. I had a meeting with all of us kind of creative associates in the meeting, and it was when we had the heads of all the different departments and stuff, and I got sent the agenda, and it was like 4 pages long, and I was like, where do all these projects come from? Like, when are we doing all these? And most of them were initial discussions, seeing what we could do, but nothing's concrete yet. Everything's early stages, but there is a real fuel in the fire at the moment to get more stuff out there.
Do you know, it's one of the highlights now of Christmas for me when we get to see it on the BBC. And honestly, I've got an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I've never ever seen them laugh so much. And laughing as a family is it's a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Oh, my genuine pleasure. I'm so pleased.
I really meant that. He has made our family laugh so many times, and I imagine he's done the same for so many other people as well. He's going to make you laugh if you head down to the Octagon to see the time machine. So try and get there if you can, and you never know, Brian Cox might be there too. Fingers crossed. A big thank you to Dave and my earlier guests, Anna, Jane, and Casey. They have been fabulous this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you want more theatre action, you know where to be. We're going to be here every Sunday night in the Hive from 8 o'clock, streaming on the I Love Manchester Facebook channel and our very own Live in the Hive Facebook channel. Spread the word, and I'll see you next week.